The Israeli conflict is a multifaceted issue encompassing a range of continuous issues: the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, the status of Jerusalem, and the establishment of Israeli settlements are the key aspects of the conflict, as are disputes over borders, security, water rights, and the Palestinian permit regime. Additionally, the issue of Palestinian freedom of movement and the right of return of Palestinian refugees displaced during 1948 Arab-Israeli war remain significant points of the contention. The U.S. General in charge of American forces in the Middle East, General Michael E. Kurilla, has arrived in the region to prepare for a possible attack by Iran on Israel, which is expected to happen as early as Monday. The trip was planned before the recent escalation, but Kurilla is expected to mobilize the same international and regional coalition that defended Israel against an Iranian attack in April. An explosive device hidden in a heavily guarded complex where Ismail Haniyeh was known to stay in Iran was what killed him, according to Times investigation. During last week, when he was visiting Iran, Ismail Haniyeh, a top leader of Hamas, was assassinated on Wednesday by an explosive device covertly smuggled into the Tehran guest house where he was staying, according to 7 Middle Eastern officials, including 2 Iranian and an American official. The bomb had been hidden approximately 2 months ago in the guest house, according to 5 of the Middle Eastern officials. The guest house is run and protected by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps and is a part of a large compound known as Nishat, in an upscale neighborhood of northern Tehran. Mr. Haniyeh was in Iran's capital for the presidential inauguration. The bomb was detonated remotely, the 5 officials said once it was confirmed that he was inside his room at the guest house. The blast also killed a bodyguard. The explosion shook the building, shattered some of the windows, and caused the partial collapse of the exterior wall, according to the 2 Iranian officials. Members of the Revolutionary Guards briefed on the incident. Such damage was also evident in a photograph of the building shattered with the New York Times. Israel is bracing for Iranian retaliation after that assassinations. A city street with a large billboard in the background showing 2 men, Ismail Haniyeh and Masoud Pezeshkian, smiling with upraised arms. A billboard in Tehran also shows Ismail Haniyeh, the senior Hamas leader, assassinated on Wednesday, with Masoud Pezeshkian, the new Iranian president. Israel's were told to ready safe rooms at home. Paramedics conducted emergency drills and hospital preparation to move patients underground if needed. The Israeli public is already worn down by 10 months of fighting in Gaza following the October 7 attack led by the Hamas on the country and by the attacks on the other fronts. Hezbollah and the Israeli military have for months traded fire across Israel's northern border with Lebanon, and Iran in April launched a wave of missiles and drones on Israel in response to a strike on its embassy complex in Syria. Iran and Hezbollah's latest threats have added another level of uncertainty to the present anxiety of the war. Israeli officials have urged residents to prepare food and water in fortified safe rooms. Paramedics conducted in an emergency drill to practice in case of full-scale war. Medical centers in northern Israel prepared for the possibility what they might need to move patients into protected underground wards. According to a resident in Tel Aviv, the volume has been turned up to 11 from every side, and his partner wondering whether anxiety over a potential escalation was justified or not. Hezbollah hasn't shot at us with the aim of total war up until now. Why should they do it now? One said as they watched their daughter from a Jerusalem street bench. They have safe rooms as well as Iron Dome, but they might feel the need to respond now, and then there would need to be response to that also. Regional tension soared this week after the two high-profile killings, like the assassination of Fuad Shukr, a senior Hezbollah commander in Beirut, describing it retaliation for a rocket attack that killed 12 children in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights days earlier. Several hours after the Beirut strike, an explosion in Tehran killed Ismail Haniyeh, leader of the Hamas political office. Iran and Hamas blamed Israel, which was not publicly taken responsibility for killing of Mr. Haniyeh. Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas have all vowed to avenge the killings, putting Israel on a state of alert for the possibility of an imminent attack that could come from multiple countries at once. Mr. Wasserman said that the assassinations would ultimately accomplish very little. Both leaders would be replaced, he said, just as Hezbollah and Hamas had quickly filled the shoes of other leaders assassinated by Israel. As long as there are people without rights, there's going to be resistance, he said. He won't end even if you take out the current leaders. Over the months since October 7, Israel had slowly adjusted to the wartime routine. Nearly 3 lakh Israelis have served weeks or months of military reserve duty, and tens of thousands of others have been forced to flee their homes on Israel's northern and southern borders because of the fighting. But even long-time observers were shocked by the disifying pace of developments over the past week. Before the latest assassinations, some Israelis were hoping for a ceasefire soon that would bring home the remaining 115 hostages still held in Gaza. The US officials have said a truce between Israel and Hamas could also pave the way of a diplomatic settlement to end the fighting with Hezbollah. Although Hezbollah has fired thousands of drones and missiles at Israel since October 8 and Israel has retaliated in return, the conflict has persisted in a measured, if destructive, game of tit for tat. Neither side has shown an appetite so far to escalate to a full on war that would likely be disastrous for Israel and Lebanon. In contrast with Hamas, Hezbollah possesses a sophisticated arsenal of drones and precision-guided missiles that analysts say could overwhelm Israel's aerial defense. The Israel's military response to such an attack would likely be devastating for Lebanon. For now, Israel is bracing to see how Iran and Hezbollah will retaliate. Hassan Nasrallah said this week that the response will come whether spread out or simultaneously, but also that Israel's reaction would determine whether the war will be escalated. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has promised harsh punishment for the killing of the Hamas leader in Tehran, but Iran's April response to the provocative strike which killed senior Iranian generals in Syria was telegraphed well in advance. In that response, Iran fired 300 missiles and drones at Israel, causing a display of fireworks in the sky as Israeli rockets intercepted the barrage. That attack mostly targeted an Israeli air base in the country's south, and Israel and the United States had ample time to prepare a joint aerial defense. Some Israelis and their allies fear any coming attack could hit civilian areas and critical infrastructure, and the Pentagon dispatched additional combat aircraft and missile shooting warships to the Middle East on Friday to boost or bolster defenses. Israel's northern border towns and the villages lie directly in the line of fire, particularly from Hezbollah fireworks or rockets. Roughly 60,000 people in Israel and 1 lakh in Lebanon have been displaced by the fighting with Hezbollah since October with no clear timeline for returning to their homes. Ali Reshaveki, who works in the administration of Kfar Blum, a kibbutz in northern Israel, said residents were worried about the possible escalation. The attack in the Golan Heights, which hit a soccer field in the village of Majdal Shams, was an event that could have easily taken place in the community. But at the same time, we have been living in this situation for 10 months now, being shot at all the time, said Mr. Reshaviki, 51. Many of Kufar Bloom's homes and the public buildings lack the fortified shelters despite their proximity to the Lebanese border. He said kibbutz leaders were discussing whether to evacuate the children and the older people farther south in the event of a major escalation. Some frustrated residents now hope that the escalation might at least break the month-long deadlock. Nissan Jivi, who lives in Kafar Giladi, said the Lebanese border said that the last few days had been quieter than unusual. Despite the occasional rocket barrage, only a few dozen residents remained in the village. Most were evacuated early the war. Those who remained were on alert. We are hoping to see the government step up its fight against Hezbollah, said Mr. Jivi, member of the town's emergency patrol. We have been stuck in this situation for too long. The prospect of a truce, either in Gaza or Lebanon, remains remote for the time being. Negotiations that would free the remaining hostages have largely stalled in the wake of Mr. Hanai's assassination, although the Israeli government sent a delegation to Cairo to resume talks on a potential ceasefire deal. But all sides are still waiting to see how Hezbollah and Iran respond to the assassinations, which will likely shape their calculations during future talks. Diplomats and analysts say that Hamas also need time to regroup after the death of Mr. Haniyeh, who played a key role in the negotiations. That's why no one is expecting a ceasefire, and the war will definitely escalate, and it can involve many countries. Israel hit a town in the occupied West Bank with two airstrikes on Saturday, in the latest use of once rare tactics in the densely populated area. Hamas said that the three members of its military wing and the six other fighters were killed in the strikes around the town of Tulkarm. In one of the strikes or attacks, a drone strike killed five people in the vehicle, according to the Palestinian media, including a local leader of the Qassam Brigades, the Hamas military wing. The Hamas said that three of the dead belonged to Qassam, but did not claim the other six fighters as members. The Israel military said only that it had targeted terrorists in the strikes on Saturday as part of the ongoing operation in Tulkram without identifying specific targets. It said that those in the vehicle were on their way to carry out the attack. The military also closed roads into Tulkram, leaving residents with no routes out. Palestinian media published videos showing Israel bulldozers tearing up stretches of road. The Israeli military has stepped up near daily raids on Palestinian cities and towns in the West Bank since the October 7 Hamas-led attack on Israel. Israeli forces have also increasingly carried out the deadly airstrikes in the territory, a rise in the aerial attacks not seen since the second Palestinian uprising against Israel occupation in the early 2000s. The US is sending more combat aircraft to the Middle East. Aircraft carrier anchored at a dock. The aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt, seen in the South Korea in June, is now streaming near the Arabian Gulf, equipped with about 40 Fa-18 Super Hornet and F-35 attack planes. Song Yong-seok Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin III on Friday ordered additional combat aircraft and missile shooting warships to the Middle East in response to the threats from Iran and its proxies in Gaza. Lebanon and Yemen to attack Israel in the coming days to avenge the death of Ismail Haniyeh, the Pentagon said. The military will send one additional squadron of Air Force F-22 fighter jets and unspecified number of additional Navy cruisers and destroyers capable of intercepting ballistic missiles and, if needed, more land-based ballistic missiles defense systems to maintain the presence of an aircraft carrier and accompanying warships in the region. Mr. Austin also directed the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, now in the Eastern Pacific, to relieve the aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt in the next couple of weeks when it is scheduled to return home. Some ships already in the western Mediterranean Sea will move east closer to the coast of Israel to provide more security, according to the Pentagon officials. Secretary Austin has ordered adjustments to the U.S. military posture designed to improve U.S. force protection, to increase support for the defense of Israel, and to ensure the United States is prepared to respond to various contingencies. The Deputy Press Secretary of the Pentagon said in a statement. This statement did not specify when the additional warplanes and combatant vessels would arrive, but officials said on Friday it would be a matter of days for the additional aircraft and somewhat longer for the naval reinforcements. Earlier on Friday or last week, officials were still deciding how many additional planes and warships to send. Officials said they were seeking to calibrate the American response to send enough of the right types of aircrafts and ships as quickly as possible to help defend Israel without appearing to escalate the conflict. They have raised the possibility that the United States could also send additional troops to operate whatever additional capabilities the Pentagon sends to the region. And this support would be defensive in nature. They committed that the United States would help Israel in its defense. They are bolstering our forces' protection in the region. The Pentagon is also bracing for the possibility that Iran-backed groups, including the Houthis in Yemen and Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq, might target American troops in the region as part of the expected Iranian retaliation for the killing of Mr. Haniyeh this week. That's why US Army is preparing for their own defense. But when Iran will definitely attack all countries tomorrow, then the possibility of escalation is always there. And it is not possible to diffuse the tensions. In addition to some 80 land-based combat aircraft, the Pentagon has already deployed more than a dozen of warships in the region. The aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt, equipped with about 40 F-18 Super Hornet and F-35 attack planes, is now steaming near the Arabian Gulf, while the U.S. WASP amphibious ready group with 30 airplanes and helicopters as well as 4,500 Marines and sailors is operating in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. Any additional air power could be crucial. Iran fired more than 300 drones and missiles against Israel in a major attack in April, but only a handful got through, causing slight damage. US Air Force jets based in Jordan and in Saudi Arabia coordinated with French, Jordan, and British Air Force fighters to shoot down more than 80 drones. Iran telegraphed that strike in advance, giving the Pentagon sufficient time to move additional combat aircraft and Navy ships into place while US commanders negotiated access to airspace for fighter jets and coordinated and defense batteries on the ground to help defend Israel. It is unclear whether Israel and its allies will have that much time to prepare for any new round of major Iranian attacks. But few appear to heed a Hamas call for a day of anger to condemn the assassination of Mr. Haniyeh and Mr. Israel's invasion and ongoing bombardment of the Gaza. Israel is widely believed to have carried out Mr. Haniyeh's killings but has not acknowledged a role in the attack. Western intelligence sources told Sky New Arabia that they had evidence Iran planned to attack Israel on Tisha B'Av in response to the assassination of the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, while begins on the August 12 and ends on August 13. Iran's attack will reportedly be coordinated with Hezbollah, an Iran-backed terror group embedded in the Lebanon. On Tisha B'Av, Jews lament the destruction of the first and second temples. During the annual event, there is fasting, mourning, and a practice of self-denial. Israel will definitely respond forcefully to any retaliation after the killings of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran and a senior Hezbollah leader in Beirut. So the escalation is inevitable, and Israel had delivered crushing blows to Iran's proxies over the past few days, including Hamas and Hezbollah, but he did not mention Haniyeh killing, which has raised threat of revenge on Israel and fueled further concern that the conflict in Gaza was turning into a wider Middle East war. And then one dead after Israel carries out retaliatory strikes in Beirut also. Citizens of Israel challenging days lie ahead. Since the strike in Beirut, there are threats sounding from all the directions. We are prepared for any scenario and we will stand united and determined against any threat. Israel will exact a heavy price for the aggression against us from any arena. Netanyahu said in a television statement. Israel's military announced late on Tuesday it had killed Fuad Shukr, to whom it named as well the most senior commander and whom it blamed for an attack at the weekend that left a dozen youngsters dead in the Israel-occupied Golan Heights. Shukr was an advisor to Hezbollah leader Shahid Hassan Nasrallah, according to the Hezbollah sources and to Israel's officials. Although the Tehran attack was widely assumed to have been carried out by Israel, Netanyahu's government made no claim of responsibility and it would make no comment on Haniyeh's killing. And the US decision to send warships and fighter squadron to the Middle East will mark perhaps the largest movement of the US forces to the region since the early days of Gaza war, when the Pentagon sent two carrier strike groups toward the Middle East in a very public warning to regional militant groups not to expand the fighting. The region is bracing for more and more retaliation of the country's supreme leader for the assassination.